tiny home enthusiasts have the right to celebrate and dance in the streets. Because although the tiny home industry has exploded exponentially throughout the United States, it has not been legal for anybody to park their tiny home just about anywhere. There's been a few cities, and we'll get into those. Now it seems that people can really rejoice because the state of Maine has made tiny homes legal. Now there are some requirements with that, so we're going to be talking about that. And I'm going to be showing you a couple other companies that I think you should know about because it's fascinating what they're doing with tiny homes. Let's do a little dance for Maine and get into it. Last month, the Governor Janet Mills signed into law that now tiny homes can be legally used as single family dwellings in their state. This is great news for people that have a tiny home. But it isn't just for tiny homes that are attached to a foundation. It's also for tiny homes that are on wheels. According to the new law, the tiny home has to be under 400 square feet to be considered a tiny home. And if you think an RV is going to cut it, they're not allowing for RVs. It's just the tiny homes themselves. So I'm not sure if that PMRV is going to fall under that category. You're going to have to check with the state of Maine. So now that Maine has done this, why is it so exciting for the rest of the country? Because it's only just Maine. Well, if you look at it like this, do you remember several years ago when everybody was like poo-pooing on Colorado for making the wacky tobacco legal?
Oh yeah.
And now several other states have jumped on board because they saw how much money that Colorado was raking in tax dollars. So Maine is now the test subject. It will be the catalyst for the rest of the states to take a look at to see how much revenue they get in tax dollars from this and if it helps boost the economy. If that happens, then it's going to be really good news for a lot of unaffordable areas like Austin, Texas, and places around California. So if this does end up spreading throughout the United States, this is going to be fantastic for the affordability crisis. As you know, there's over 4 million Americans that can't afford to buy a house or even find places to rent. Tiny homes happen to be very affordable for a lot of people, but they can't put them anywhere legally. So as this becomes more accepted, a lot more people are going to be able to get in the real estate market, and that is always good for the economy because everybody knows in order to build wealth and generational wealth, you need to be able to buy real estate. And this would be a great stepping stone so people can start in with their life with having a home of their own, something that will gain value. I'm just really excited about it. I just want everybody to be able to buy their own home and build generational wealth. That's the American dream. We're not the only country that's had an affordability crisis. It's been an affordability crisis throughout the world, including Australia. But I was able to talk to a guy that owns a company called Van Homes. And I'm like, a van that's a home. Yeah, everybody has these type of homes. But when I dove into his actual company, what he's done is absolutely genius. So if you take the concept of a manufactured home and then you put that on wheels, but it's so small that you could basically put it on the back of your truck and pull it in, and then it folds out into a large home, a manufactured style home, but it's small enough to be considered a motor vehicle type of home. This is what he's done, and they call them a granny flat. So it's a combination of a manufactured home mixed in with some geometry, mixed in with what they call a van home. And here in the United States, I think that we call this almost like a fifth wheel, but it's not like a caravan type of thing. It's a manufactured home that folds out. And this is how they were legally able to do it and put them in the backyard without having any kind of penalties from their local provinces. And I think it's probably one of the most genius things I've ever seen because you basically found a way to get around all the legal parts of it and still have them legally on people's property. And at one point, he actually had to go so far because people were challenging this law with his granny flats that he helped this woman win the lawsuit against her province, and now people are able to put them in there. These are amazing little homes, and maybe that's something that we could do here in the United States. And it reminds me of something very similar that I have shown on my channel many times, and those are the homes that Boxable is making. Now, Boxable's homes are slightly different than these types of homes because they're made to modular specifications. And if you don't know anything about modular specifications, they're exactly like standard home building, except for the fact that most of the pieces or all the pieces are made in the factory and then they're put on site. The building codes are exactly the same, if not above traditional home standards when it comes to building. When you're building a modular home, it just so happens that these Boxable homes are very small, and it's very similar to that concept, except for his are more built to a manufactured home standard. These ones are built to a modular standard. These are awesome homes, except for the fact that here in the United States, because of the fact that they're so incredibly small, you're still going to have to get around a lot of laws. The one in Australia, he found a way to get around it. I hope we can find more ways to get around these laws, or we can get a lot more states on board like Maine, because Maine's smart. They're smart up there. They got the lobsters and they're smart. And before you come after me about my accent, I'm from New England. With any tiny home that you're going to be purchasing, other than the fact that you have to deal with laws, I've mentioned this in several videos, you always have to deal with financing. In many cases, people are looking for more alternative ways to finance it, and sometimes they're getting personal loans that cost a lot in interest. Now, when you're looking at tiny homes and you're going up to Maine, maybe because of the fact that they have made them legal, that it'll be easier for you to be able to roll in financing. And if the financing is over $65,000 with a piece of land, it may be easier for you to be able to finance them. That may not be the case in all cases. That may not be the case in all cases. You understand what I'm saying. But I was able to find a company called True Tiny, and True Tiny has their own financing. It's proprietary, so I can't really explain everything that's in it. All I do know is that they do accept credit scores as low as 650, and of course all the way up. Interest rates are going to apply according to your credit score and your DTI, which is your debt to income ratio. Now, True Tiny has all sorts of different kinds of styles. They do have park models and they have RV models. So just go ahead and take a look at their whole selection. I'll go ahead and put the website right here so you can see it for yourself. And it's out of Oregon. They're super nice people and they will gladly answer any questions you have. They were really nice to me when I asked them about their company, and I think it's something you should take a look at. Now, there are other places throughout the country that tiny homes are legal in certain cities. Last year at this time, I went to a town in Texas called Spur, Texas. And yes, you can have a tiny home there legally. They do have some restrictions. The restrictions are that you must tie into their water and sewer. You can't have anything like composting toilets. But my experience in Spur wasn't necessarily the best, but that's because of one person. I feel deceived.
I'm not trying to deceive. That's not my point.
Everybody else that has reached out to me from Spur since that last video I did has been extremely nice and extremely helpful. I will tell you, it is a very small town. So if you're looking for a local large shopping mall area, that ain't gonna happen. But if you're looking for that laid back style and slow moving, yeah, it's perfect. Just know that when you do move there, everybody in the town's gonna know who you are within about 5 minutes. And if you're building a tiny home, everybody in town's gonna know that in about 2 minutes. So just no, it's a very, very, very small town, and word gets around really quickly. It didn't take long once my video came out. Everybody was talking about it, and I got hundreds of emails, and I think there's only like 8,000 residents that live there. I could be wrong about that number, so don't hate me, Spur, Texas. If that is something that you're interested in and you want to stay in Texas, the lots there run like as little as like $3,000 to $6,000, and just be very careful on where you're buying your land from, and you go ahead and do your due diligence and research on the piece of land that you're purchasing. And you may want to check out the city hall and all the other areas throughout there, because the little town is actually quite cute. It has all sorts of really old buildings. They're in different variations of disparage, but they are trying to bring back the town as more people enter the town, because their claim to fame is they're their first legal tiny home town throughout the United States. So it's definitely someplace to consider if you're wanting to retire and not spend a lot of money. My experience was not typical of most people that move out there. I just happened to have a bad one. The right thing to do was to bring it up though, because it is a legal tiny home town. So what if you're thinking about having a tiny home community in your area and you're getting a lot of pushback? Well, the best thing for you to do is always show up to planning and zoning development meetings, and then bring your plans to planning and zoning and tell them exactly what you want to do and how it would benefit the community. If you give them all that information and then show them how it's been successful in places like Maine and even Spur, Texas, maybe they'll be more on board. It's going to take time, because anytime you change anything that isn't standard, you're always going to have some naysayers. So just know that it's not a short process. This is something you're going to have to work with your community. The more people you get on board, the more people that sign petitions, the more likely it's going to happen. And if you do get it to happen in your town, let me know and I will come out there and I will film it. Now, there is a tiny home community out in Austin, Texas that was built by Icon that helps the homeless. Now, they were legally able to do that, and I'm sure they worked really hard with their local leaders to get this to be done. So that's another resource you can use for your planning and zoning development to show them that yes, this can be done and it can be done correctly and it does look nice. And it's not just a bunch of hippies or young hipsters that are just trying to avoid working. It's actually real people that want to buy and live in small homes. And I will say this, do you know that one of the biggest group of people that own tiny homes are not young people? It's older people, because they have limited income and they want to live a very simple life in their retirement. So that is one of those statistics you need to bring up to your board meeting as well. It's not the young hippies. It's like people like my age and older. I'm pushing 50, getting close to retirement. So let me know, do you think that tiny homes being legal in Maine is going to help for the rest of the United States to get on board? Do you help people get out of the affordability crisis and get in a home of their own legally? Or do you think this is just something that's going to be only in Maine and we won't be seeing it throughout the United States? Let me know in the comments section. To watch some more videos about tiny homes, go ahead and click this video right here. I even put the one from Spur, Texas right here. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because good real estate information matters.